Hi friends, and welcome back to the channel for another furniture makeover. In today's video, I'll be transforming a pair of nightstands. I actually got these on OfferUp for $40. So they're honestly in really good condition. Unfortunately though, I do have to repair one of the drawer tracks, which I didn't notice that until I got these home. But I'm gonna go ahead and show you guys a full tutorial on the step-by-step process. I know I gave you guys a glimpse of it last video, but I'm gonna show you guys the full thing today. Aside from that, there's not really a whole lot to tell you guys about these, so let's just jump right in with removing the hardware. Okay, so next I'm gonna go ahead and clean them using my Dawn soap and warm water. And typically this is where I'll pull out my universal drill attachment, but on today I just decided to go ahead and clean them by hand, and then I'm gonna rinse them back with just plain water. So now that the nightstands are nice and clean, I'm gonna go ahead and fill in these hardware holes using my Bondo. You guys are pretty familiar with this by now, I'm sure. It's just the 2-part wood filler that dries extremely hard, and I'm just gonna go ahead and fill these in, and then we'll move on to the next step. Okay, so now that that's drying, I'm gonna go ahead and begin the repair on this drawer track. So I first pulled out my detailed sander. I forgot that I had this, but I got this from Harbor Freight, and I'll do my best to link it down below. So because I had ran out of the sandpaper, I just kind of put this to the side, and then it just hit me that I could basically take a sanding disc and cut it to size. So that's what I've been doing here lately, and I'm just gonna go ahead and sand off any of that glue that was on the bottom of this drawer. Now that wood that you see there, I'm not quite sure what that was about. I was gonna pry it off, but it's really not in the way, and that would have just been a lot of unnecessary work. So I'm just first gonna start by removing that dried out glue. So here I am just measuring both parts of the track, and we're gonna cut those down to size using my miter saw. So I'm telling you guys, this piece right here, this tool has become one of my favorites. This is my nail gun and staple gun. It attaches to my compressor, and I'm just gonna go ahead and put one nail on the track just to see if I got it in the right place. And then we'll go ahead and make sure we put several more nails in there for security. So it turns out that having this piece of wood on the bottom of this drawer worked in my favor because it allowed me to get the track in the perfect position without worrying about it shifting or anything. So I'm going to go ahead and adhere it first with a couple of my shorter nails, and then I'm going to add some glue after I'm done. I started by doing a deep sanding on the top of the nightstand, and then I did a scuff sand everywhere else using the 120 grit sandpaper. And then for those curvy areas, I sanded those by hand off camera, and I just did a light scuff with my sanding block wrapped in a sanding disc. So for this part, I'm using an 80 grit sandpaper first, followed by my 120 grit sandpaper for the scuff sand. Okay, so it's the next day, and now it's just time to go in with my Zen Bin shellac based primer and my spray gun that I get from Lowe's. I'll have that linked down below just in case anyone is interested, and then we'll be ready to move on to the painting process. So one key step that you should never skip is to go ahead and sand everything down in between primer and paint using a fine grit sandpaper. Personally, I like to use a 400 grit sandpaper, and then I'm just going to sand everything nice and smooth, and then I'll spray away all of that sanding dust with some compressed air. Alright, so moving right along, we're going to get into this paint and this paint color. This is Deco Glow. I get this from Dunn Edwards. You guys would have seen me use this once before in my cream dresser with the long hardware. And this is going to be my second time using it today. The color is Black Pearl, and that's also a Dunn Edwards color. Okay, so I guess I'll start by saying the color, it's a pretty color. I always have to give that disclaimer. However, it's just not what I was going for. I really have a hard time picking paint colors, and sometimes to me the swatches don't really reflect what I'm seeing when I spray. I think one thing I might need to look into going forward is getting paint samples, either whether it be like the actual paint in a small jar or the squares that you can stick to your furniture. I'm not sure, but I was going for something a little bit more muted and just different. This was very pigmented and very, very blue. But again, I think it's pretty. It's just not the vision that I saw. Now, the last time that I used this Deco Glow, I told you guys that it resembled a similar finish to that of a satin finish, and not so much this time. I think with this darker color, it definitely reflects its true finish, which is gloss. And personally, that's just not my preference. Ultimately, after I finished doing my second coat of paint and I added the finishing touches, I think everything came together nicely. This furniture makeover is actually really simple and very sleek, but of course, I'd love to know your guys' thoughts down below. So with that being said, let's get into the before and after of this nightstand makeover.